Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is the Tuesday's edition of Shagalinku TV. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, and it's good to have all of you here. Today, we're looking at COVID-19. We're looking at precautionary measures that we can take to, just safeguard ourselves as we go about the new norm. It's obvious that we have to just find ways of staying safe in midst of the pandemic and just try and make sure that we live within the new norm. And I have my guest here. She's always like a family in this house. Anytime we call on her, she's never hesitating to join us. She'll be talking with us more about all this. She's also known as a family bond nurse. I know I ask her this every time she comes in here, but for first timers who may not know her and this is the first time they're also meeting her, I'll be asking her what family bond nurse is also all about. I know I always ask her this and she always says it, but every time she's here, I will also ask her, believing that we have a lot of people who join us. So in case you're watching us from across the globe, please do also drop your comments about the topic we're doing. So how can we begin to stay safe and what are the precautionary measures we should take in safeguarding ourselves against COVID-19? I know the regulars that we've always been preaching here: washing your hands regularly, sanitizing, and maintaining social distance. And when you're going out of your home, you wear your face masks and avoid public gatherings that has a lot. But she'll be telling us more about that. Please drop your comments on the comment section, and then also if you have questions for my guest, do also drop that and she'll be responding to them. And it will also be wise for us to know where you're watching us from Kenya, from US, from London, wherever you are. When you drop your comments, please also let us know where you're watching us from. That way we'll just be able to relate with that. Okay, let me bring in my guest, Mrs. Julie, so that she could tell us a little more about herself, and then we'll take the discussions from there. Hi, Julie.
How you doing? Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate you. Always there for you're now a family, Shagalinko TV family.
That's absolutely fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So how is work going? Let me ask.
Work is going on fine. We see every day that there's still a lot to do in terms of sensitization, that there are ways people can access care even if they do not want to go to the hospital. We've been working on telemedical services, rendering telemedical services to patients from the comfort of their homes or their offices, because one of the things staring us in the face is that people do not want to go to the hospital. They are scared. So it's not been easy because of the lack of finances to afford these services. But we are trying to see how, in fact, I just rounded up a meeting on how we can further down make this affordable to people. So it's not actually have been it's not been easy, especially with the brain drain. We're having our doctors and nurses leaving the shores of the country, leaving to Western climes every day, every day. We are in the healthcare system. We are scared about what will befall our health situation years to come. But I do not know how concerned the government is about this impending doom. It's an impending one. I don't know how much we're doing to see that we don't experience it, because it's going to be very terrible. So it's been good so far, challenging. Everything comes with its own peculiar challenges. So that's how it has been.
True. You mentioned brain drain, and it's just shocking because I'm co-facilitating a 3-day training on women development and women empowerment. And part of what I keep saying, I've been reiterating since yesterday, not even knowing you mentioned this, is that I'm worried about Nigeria and Africa. We have the best brains, but the system or the society seem not to encourage the best. So we keep losing them to foreign countries who appreciate what we have. So you are here, you are very good, you don't have good working condition, your words are not taken, even when you do a lot of research, you're not taken. And countries open their doors for the best brains and then they keep leaving. What do you think we should begin to do differently to make sure that our good brains and the best ones are not drained away from the country?
Well, there's little we can do as citizens if the system itself is not enhancing, if the system is not supporting the brains, if it is not enabling the brains to develop. If we're putting in so much effort and not realizing as much results, it's going to be frustrating. It's going to be discouraging. People want to go where they put in effort and they see the results. We want to be able to work in a system whereby we don't have to know who is seated there. We don't have to pay certain form. I wanted to go buy fuel yesterday, 2 days ago. I went there. I saw that one of the parts was opened. I drove by to just go in, and then the guy came to block it, and I was like, okay, but it's open. He said, no, madam, you have to settle me first. I was just like, I didn't say anything. I just reversed and I drove off. So we live in a system whereby you have to sort people, like they call it. It's discouraging. People want to go to an environment whereby their little effort or much effort would yield maximum results. There's not much we can do. However, there's still something that can be done. What are these things that we can do? We can encourage our younger people to take up the profession as well, open up the opportunities, let them understand what it is to be a medical doctor, to be a pharmacist, to be a nurse, to be a lab scientist, and all that. Sponsor their education to go in for these programs. Well, not everybody will leave, we must say, at the end of the day. So let's still encourage people to go into the profession. Philanthropists should start considering sponsoring people into medical programs and nursing schools. You're giving scholarships to students going to secondary schools. Let's push it a notch further. Let's go a notch higher and encourage young people to take up nursing profession, medical profession, and all that. Then the government needs to make the working environment enabling and highly conducive for the healthcare workers. Remuneration is key. Level of education, quality education is critical. Then the environment where these people go every day to work, because it's mentally draining to step into a hospital and then you don't have basic materials to work with. It can be frustrating. So we want to walk into a hospital and it's brightly lighted. You don't walk into a hospital and it's like you're going through the graveyards or the dark corridors of a prison. It should, even the prison shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It's not mentally healthy for the people in there. So we want to walk into a hospital and its light is lit up, and we have all the equipment. The aroma in the environment is encouraging. The materials, the equipment are there to use. And then there's a career progression. People are being sponsored for programs, for trainings, for conferences. You're bringing in, there's an exchange program where greater brains are Nigerians that are doing well outside. Bring them in to come train these ones in here. There's a lot that can be done. I keep saying one thing. If the government is willing to do what they need to do, the resources are available for them. Now, some of you that are watching me, you would not need me to, those in Nigeria, you would not need me to explain. You see that there's a fluctuation in the light. So that is what some of the things that we're experiencing here. For those outside of Nigeria, it's a light issue. So we have a contact problem there. So we have the government, if they are willing and ready to set up a system, the human resources are available. We have brains in this country. We have those that are intellectuals. We have professors who are retired but are not tired of working. You call them back, they're going to come in. We have how many doctors in nursing? I'm speaking of the nursing profession. I know we have numerous also in the medical profession. We have many professors and doctors in nursing in this country. We can bring them back. They may have been retired through the service, but they are available to render their knowledge to help to see how we can transform the healthcare system. So these are the few things that we can do. Let the philanthropists come and sponsor people's programs. Let them sponsor, build hospitals, and send professionals for training. Bring in experts for exchange programs, or send our people out there as well. And then the government do their bit, increase remuneration, make the working environment highly conducive for our people.
True. Thank you so much. In case you just joined us, this is a Tuesday's edition of Shagalinko TV, and I'm talking with my guest, Mrs. Julie. She's a family bond nurse, and we'll be looking at COVID-19. What are the precautionary measures we should take as human beings to safeguard ourselves and then move about our daily activities since it's the new norm. Please drop your comments in the comment section. And if you're watching us right now, please also share the link to this program so that other people can watch and join us. If you have a question for our guests, please also drop it there for her. She will be responding. Any comments, anything you need us to talk about on this topic of discussion on how we could begin to live the new norm, please drop them there, and also let us know the country from where you're watching us from. I got a message here, Mrs. Julie, from Chief Ugbenyalu Udiala, all the way from Dublin, and she said 100% that she agrees with what you're saying. Thank you, Chief Ugbenyalu. Yeah. Okay, so let me come back to you while we'll be reading the messages shortly. How bad is the situation right now? Ghana broke the jinx for Africa being the first country to welcome the vaccines, and Togo followed. Just when we were thinking that at least Nigeria being the giant of Africa, we should be like the pace setter, because in numbers, in infrastructures, and in strength, we seem to have been there, you know. So I was expecting that as a country with more population, we should have been the first in all of this. How is it for you? How badly is this right now? And what can we do?
Well, I think that the government is doing all they can. I must say, because of the kind of system that we are operating. I believe they're doing what they can to see how these vaccines can be brought in. A lot need to be put in place. You need a cold storage system. Do we have the storage system that will preserve these vaccines? With the light and power issues that we are having currently in the country, well, we don't want to bring in vaccines and start giving out expired ones. So there's a lot that needs to be put in place before these are brought in. I'm sure they're dealing with that to get the system ready for storage. But like I always have this challenge. I don't know why they would not communicate. I think what they should be doing at this time is to be sending out sensitization information, enlightening the people, because they're still going to deal with it. How many people want to be vaccinated with all the conspiracy theory going all around there? How many would want to take the vaccine? So there should be at this point sensitization programs going across levels and let people understand that they are going to prioritize those that are going to receive these vaccines. I think they're starting with the health workers, then they'll go on to vulnerable population, whether the pregnant women and the elderly people. That is what was said according to the primary healthcare development, I think, agency. So there's a lot that is required. It's not enough to just bring in. They are not just drugs that you can put on a shelf. So there are things that need to be properly stored. And I don't think we have handled the vaccine this much. From what I gather, they are thinking about bringing about 100 and looking at vaccinating about 200 million people. What I heard the first time was in the space of 2 years. I don't know how possible that will be, but they're bringing in about 100,000, and that's a whole lot. How are they going to be distributed? How are they going to be managed? How are they going to be stored up? I think they are taking all of the time to deliberate on this, but being the giant of Africa, as we call it, which I think is only by population, I don't know if we still can stand by that nomenclature. We ought to have taken the lead to make this happen, considering our population. And I don't think we lack the resources to get these vaccines in. If somebody isn't doing his job, that person should be called to question. What are the process? Why is it taking this long? These are pertinent questions we need to ask ourselves. What will it take to have this? Do we need to call on the public to help with making funding available to create storage facilities for these vaccines? Let's know what the issues are. The government need to communicate with the people. So these are some of the things, but I know for sure it's not an easy thing to just bring in the vaccines, because we're not talking about just ordinary over-the-counter drugs. We need a quality storage facility or system and management system, distribution system for these vaccines.
Yes, I really like the angle you talked about, the vaccine requiring a particular kind of temperature to move it, for it to move from point A to B. But the situation is, year in, year out, people have cried out for power supply. We've always said this, that power supply will solve at least 50% of our problems, not just for health infrastructures, for development, for economic empowerment, for personal growth. A lot of young people will get jobs because they can just set up one little internet cafe, set up barbing salon, set up dry cleaning shops. We need power. We've always said this. And then to think about the fact that why haven't we been able to leverage on other health needs that we've had before, issues like polio, that also needed a cold chain storage or something, that by now we felt that with all the lockdown of last year and how this pandemic was so ravishing, we felt by now government on all level would have prioritized electricity. How are you worried also about that in terms of, because we also go to some hospitals and we find that even the delivery rooms don't have electricity. Some nurses complain how when they want to take deliveries, it is touchlight phone they need to use to do. So it is not just about the pandemic. It is not just about COVID. We need to get a lot of infrastructures in place. And that was why I was also happy when you talked about brain drain, because these things are frustrating. You learn things in school, in the medical school and in your nursing profession. You get into the field, you get into your workspace, a lot of things that you would need to save life, you don't get them, and people watch right before their eyes. People die for things they can avoid. How terrible is that, Mrs. Julie?
It actually is very terrible that we get to the hospital and you know that that's one of the things that I experienced as a young nurse that made me to the path that I am on now, to empower people with the knowledge on how they can live healthily and prevent illness in the first place. And peradventure that an illness steps in or they come down with a medical condition, how do you prevent a complication? And then if you have a complication, how do you prevent uh, how do you prevent a premature death? Because
Yes.
even with complications and chronic illnesses, the goal of palliative care is to increase the person's quality of life. So every day you still have breath, how do you make the best of it? So I decided to step out of the clinical setting to start working with families, with individuals, training them and exposing this knowledge to them on how they can improve their quality of life and live a preventive lifestyle across the stages: before an illness, during an illness, before an illness, when an illness is diagnosed, and then when the person is being managed for any medical condition. One of the frustrating things was seeing people die from preventable and avoidable situations, conditions. It was tiring. So people lack the basic knowledge of certain medical conditions. So they experience certain things. Their culture is telling them that as a man, you endure. As a man, you do this. As a woman, no. For instance, talking about death following birth, maternal child mortality. It's not something that we should still be experiencing in the 21st century. Why would we have women die as a result of complications from pregnancy when you have 9 months to undergo antenatal program and prepare for the delivery? That should be a slap on us, on our faces collectively. Now, why I say collectively is because some people still believe that having babies through cesarean section is abnormal. So they don't want their wives, their daughters, their sisters, their daughter-in-laws to undergo. It's like it's a death sentence. It is not. It is not. Let women undergo CS if that is what is required to save them and the baby. So some don't agree to this. Women die or they lose their babies. So these are some of, we're dealing with deep-seated cultural issues here as well. So it's tiring, it's frustrating. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and everyone has a role to play. So we have the healthcare workers who need to up their advocacy work, keep talking to people about health issues, keep giving them health education and all that. Then we have the clergy in your mosque, in your shrine, in your churches. Keep talking about this. Encourage your people to seek medical advice. Let's not even wait to experience pain. Let us understand that health does not necessarily mean when you fall sick. and go seek medical help. Health also requires of us to be healthy. For those that are Christians and believe in God that heals, let us also believe in the God that believes in wellness. You don't necessarily have to fall ill. So we need to have people encourage everyone to go for medical checkups. How many of us take that seriously? Just go for a routine checkup. Do it. There are facilities available. Like what we're doing now, we've been strategizing on how we can tell people, okay, just call us. We can come to you. We have equipment available, portable equipment. We can come to you and take all the samples. Just stay in your house. We can send your results to you via email. And then we'll talk to you through video consultations and all of that, just so that we don't come and over labor an already fragile healthcare system, because our healthcare system is fragile, or as it is. So it's a terrible situation. The government has its role, the people have their role, the different sectors have their role to play. We are battling with power issues. It's frustrating, like you have pointed out. There are midwives who virtually have to put, the old model of phones that we had that had this, not the ones that have the flashlight at the back of the phone. So the ones that have it at the edge. So they wear a net or they use a rubber band to tie it on their heads to handle delivery. Who wants to go to work every day having that kind of experience? If there's a problem, government should ask for help. And when we have well-meaning institutions and organizations coming to help the government, let's not ask for bribe. Someone is coming to do something good. You're asking them to pay XYZ amount. I don't understand. Someone is coming to build a school. You're asking for, okay, who is asking you? They want to politicize everything. It's as if to be a good person, to have good intentions is now a crime.
Right.
I mean, it's an impossibility. So these are some of the things we really need to deal with. And it makes people discourages people to want to do good. Because when you go to do good, they are wondering who is backing you up. What's your intention? You're getting something from it, so let's get our own. It's not an encouraging thing. It's not.
Honestly, thank you so much. So let's even come back to COVID-19. What do we begin to do? What are the precautionary measures? Because as it is now, even with the vaccine, we've also been told that it doesn't stop you from still maintaining, obeying or staying safe and doing the precautionary measures, washing your hands and all that. So even when the vaccine comes, you still need like 2 doses. So it's not still uhura yet. So what do we start doing? What basic thing? So why? Let's even bring it down to Nigeria now. While we still wait for the vaccine, what should we be doing? When the vaccine comes, what should we be doing?
All right. So this is what I'm going to break this down into different segments, because health is holistic and it's a continuum. So we cannot view it from just one angle. One of the angles through which we view the concerns or issues around health is the physical health. So people want to experience cough, or they're sneezing, or they have a headache, or they have a high temperature, and then they know they're sick and they need medical attention. But we would not be looking at it from that angle alone, because during the lockdown, home and abroad, so when I say abroad, African countries, we had in Kenya, we had in Ghana, there was an increase in domestic violence. So what should we be doing during this period? So let's look at how when we talk about precautionary measures, what are we talking about? We're talking about preventive measures. We're talking about how you can defend what you feel is already good and intact. We're talking about placing certain cautionary system in place. We're trying to prevent something. We're defending something good. We're putting safety measures in place. So that is what we mean when we talk about precautionary measures. And what are we preventing? What are we guiding against? So we are preventing physical illness, which may manifest as high temperature, cough, sneezing, headache, pain, and all of that, whether it's in the chest or in the lungs, your inability to breathe and all that. So we're trying to prevent a physical breakdown of our system. So the other part that we are preventing is extreme sadness or depression. Precautionary measures should not cater for the physical aspect of our lives alone. It should also cater for the psychological aspect. So we want to prevent psychological breakdown, we want to prevent mental overload, we want to prevent mental exhaustion, we want to prevent domestic violence, we want to prevent sexual abuse, we want to prevent unproductive stress. Stressors that we experience, stress is for a reason. It prepares you to take an action immediately. When that stress is sustained for a period of time, that's when it becomes a problem. But we want to prevent unproductive stress during this period of whether there's a lockdown, whether you're working from home. There's so many things that could play out that could affect one's health. So when you are preventing something, when you're putting cautionary measures in place, you're guiding against it, breaking your physical health, your mental health, your social health. That is why I'm glad that people are beginning to understand that it is not social distancing, it is physical, put a safe physical distance between you and the other person. So it's not social distancing. So if you're asking people to distance themselves socially, you're asking them not to interact. And that can be done via technological means. You can say hello from your window to your neighbor outside. So what we are preventing, or we are asking people to do, is to maintain safe physical distance. So let's look at how we can put in measures to prevent a physical breakdown, like I said, a mental and psychological breakdown, a social breakdown, occupational breakdown. Because where you are unable to work, there is not going to be sufficient finances to cater for the needs of you and your family, and especially when there's a health situation or an emergency, there won't be money. And if there's no money, there's a breakdown in your physical health, because you're going to start worrying yourself sick. How can I help? How can I take care of my immediate needs? How can I feed my family? These things would affect us. So what steps can we begin to take? Here will be my counsel. For COVID-19, we understand, or we may have heard about the necessary steps that we can take. Let's maintain healthy hand hygiene. Let's do that. Let's not be tired of washing our hands. Let's not be tired of keeping it clean. It's good to use the alcohol rub, but it is not sufficient. Please only use it when you cannot access clean water and soap. But the minute you can access clean water and soap, please opt for it. Wash your hands thoroughly and do that for at least 20 to 30 seconds. The cleaning of the hands, it's in the friction that is applied. So you don't just go and rub your hands on the water. You can do that on the running water. You don't just go do that and then leave. Make sure you apply friction while washing your hands. The steps are available on the internet. You can get that. So you wash your hands clean all the time. Then you ensure that you stay away from those that are coughing or sneezing. Maintain your physical distance from these people. Also, you use your mask. The mask is to prevent you from infecting another person if you happen to have any kind of medical condition, whether you have a flu, you have cold, or you have COVID-19, you never can tell. So it also prevents the other person from passing it on to you. So you have to wear your mask. Then take your healthy food, eat adequately, try. There are fruits in season, invest in them and eat lots of them. Ensure you rest sufficiently. It's important. When the body doesn't have its sufficient rest, it breaks down, because the cell needs rest in order for it to rejuvenate, in order for it to repair, because the body has the potential to heal itself. One of the ways the body can function the way it was originally meant to function is when you give it the right food and you allow it to rest. So when you give the body cells the right nutrients it deserves, and then you give it the rest that it needs, you'll find out that you are able to self-heal. Yeah, and it's beyond what I just said. Well, that's one of the ways I get to help my clients, how you can power your power cells. There are power cells in our bodies so that they can function optimally. So these are measures you can take to protect your physical health. What can you do to protect your mental health? Please interact with people. This is not the time to act alone or to be a lone ranger. Get involved in groups. You can be part of virtual groups on WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. Please do that. I didn't have time to follow comedies before on Instagram, but these days I make out time to go on TikTok and laugh my head out. I just laugh it off because it's healthy to just laugh. I'll go on Twitter and get Twitter. I think they call it savage responses on Twitter. So I go there and I read and I laugh just to let out some steam, just to let out some stress. Then I return to work. So if you don't have the groups, I really would want to advise everyone or suggest to everyone watching and that will watch later, please belong to a group. belong to a group. You might say that, okay, when you belong to a group, they're going to talk about you. When people hear about your problem, it's going to show. Next thing is on headline news and all of that. There are ways to manage this, but the truth is, you need to belong somewhere. We are relational beings. Let's belong to a group. Then be part of an activity. Look at something you can start. There's something about contributing. When you contribute to the society, contribute to the community, contribute to humanity, it it gives you a sense of fulfillment. It has a positive impact on you. It releases those happy hormones, those endorphins that you need to keep you healthy, to keep you functioning optimally every day. You need a dose of it on a daily basis. So see yourself doing something, contributing something to someone's life. You're investing in someone's life, whether emotionally. Just put a call through to somebody and say hello. I just want to check on you. Then another thing we can do also is not to take the cliche response of I am fine for an answer. Don't take it as your final answer or as a person's final response. Let's go beyond that now. I'm not just asking you how are you for the sake of asking. I want to know how you are faring. How was that interview you went for? Have you been able to solve that problem you talked about? Oh, you had intention of doing this. Let's go beyond the oh, hello, how are you? I'm fine. And then you go to another discussion. Take a step further. Ask, show genuine concern about people. People will show concern about you. If for any reason you feel you don't have anyone, you feel all alone, there are groups, there are people you can call. I would also suggest that every home, every individual should have one medical person they are in constant contact with. Seek professional advice. Don't go seek medical advice on Facebook or Instagram or WhatsApp. Seek professional advice. You can have nurses, medical doctors as friends. And please, when you contact them, don't tell them what to tell you. You're stating what the challenge is. You don't want to call a doctor, you call a nurse, and then you say, please tell me what drug to go and buy. No, they're going to ask, they won't do that. They're going to ask you some questions. And don't be impatient to give these responses because you don't want to give a false information. They will need all this history so that they can advise you accordingly. So when you are asked a question, when first did you experience it? How long did this last? What's the nature? Don't just I just want to know what drug to go and buy. It doesn't work like that, please. But have a medical person that you are friends with. Then that's a summary of it. I've talked about the physical, I've talked about the mental, then the spiritual. Engage in a spiritual activity. Engage in a spiritual activity. It helps. It helps a whole lot. So don't just live on your own. Having that sense of being connected to a supernatural being, being connected to something bigger than you, always yearning for something, always yearning to understand. You need to have an essence of why you are alive. You need to have a sense of purpose of why you are on earth. When you go pursuing that purpose, there's this energy it gives to you. When you're doing the thing you believe that you were called up to do, it has a positive impact on your health. So during these times, before vaccine comes in, during vaccination, after the vaccine, when COVID is over, whether it's completely over or is in the shadows, let's adhere to some of this. It will help us function optimally and improve our quality of life.
Thank you very much. And let me take some messages here and then you can respond to them. This one says, I am watching you live from Uyo Akwa Ibom and so enjoying what your guest is saying. My question is, how long should be the interval before someone washes his or her hand? Tina.
All right, Tina, thank you for that question. Well, it's like asking, um, how often should I have my bath? If you have your bath in the morning, you step out and someone splashes water or the weather is hot, you go to work, you come back. You really wouldn't need someone to tell you to have your bath again. So you go out, if the weather is unfriendly, when you return, you have a bath. You feel stressed, you have a cold bath or a warm bath. It's going to help you sleep better. So when we talk about washing of hands, it should be a part of our lifestyle to just wash the hands before you eat. So just to help, when you wake up in the morning, first thing you do is to wash your hands before you even take water to drink, or you're careful about how you take your water to drink, because you don't know where your hands wandered in the night when you were sleeping. So when you wake up in the morning, please do well to wash your hands first. Then you go about your business, have your bath, go to work. The minute you step into your office or before you start something, wash your hands. If you're taking commercial means to work, you would have gotten on the bus, you would have held the rail, you would have held the door, and all of that. Once you get into your office, go straight to the bathroom after dropping your things. You wash your hands. Then when you're leaving the office, you do the same thing. Step into your vehicle or getting on the bus, have your hand sanitizer with you. You collect money from someone or you hand over money to a trader, you clean your hands. You may not be able to wash at the time, but you can use the alcohol rub. I would also advise that or suggest that you have wipes with you. So you the wet wipes. So you have the wipes. You can mix it with alcohol on it, and then take a little with you wherever you go. Well, I don't have mine readily. It's somewhere in my bag. It's somewhere in my bag. So I just take a bit from the whole pack, put it in some transparent bag, and it has alcohol in it. So if I don't have water, because I'm really more comfortable washing my hands with water than with the alcohol rub, actually. So what I did to help me is to soak it in alcohol. So when I'm seated here, I just use the wipe to clean my hand. I like that wet feeling on my hand to use it. And may I also say that the way we wash our hands with soap and water is the way we should clean our hands with the alcohol rub. That it's alcohol rub doesn't mean we just do pimping and like this and that's it. No. You use the same steps in washing hands to apply the alcohol to rub it on our hands as well. So you wash your hands as often as possible. That's for Tina.
Okay. This one says, my name is Yomi. I'm a Nigerian living in London. What we see on TV every time about Nigerians when they gather, especially in political arenas, you begin to wonder if they take COVID-19 seriously. Here in London, it's a serious deal.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I think that was Christmas last year. I was shocked to see a particular picture about people who went out to celebrate the Christmas. I know before Christmas we're saying, COVID, please pause. Can we have our Christmas? I said it too. But the fact that I prayed that COVID took a break or paused for us to enjoy Christmas didn't mean I had to go and mix up with the crowd. So it's true. Those abroad would, or as in the UK and other countries that are grossly affected, they'll be looking at Nigerians and they'll be laughing. See, these people don't understand. They really don't understand, and that is why some people, there are some celebrities who have been affected by this. When they come out of it, they start talking. And some went to the extent of saying, okay, I wish you COVID, I wish you a COVID experience, so that you will understand how serious this thing is. So it's as if we are not taking it seriously, but we shouldn't go to a point of wishing it on people. Let's just keep encouraging ourselves to stay, maintain our physical distance. What would it cost us to just maintain? That's prevention. So the price you pay for the prevention price you pay is still by far cheaper than a curative price that you're going to pay. And some people don't even live to cure. They leave. Many people have died as a result of this. So don't even wait to experience it to undergo a curative management. Just prevent it. What would it cost you? Part of the prevention, maintain your safe physical distance. So I totally agree with you. It's we some of us take it as if we're not really, we don't believe in it and we're not serious about it.
Hmm. Okay, this one here says, good afternoon to your guest. I've been enjoying what she's been saying since you started. My name is John from Nairobi, Kenya, and I would like to say that the world needs to come together to fight it. The one of countries trying to hoard vaccinations, it's really not going to work out well. We all must put our hands in one. What do you have to say? John, thank you, by the way. John, thanks.
Yeah, John, thank you for that. Yes, I don't know. I think it's a human's problem to want to lord over another human being. I don't know what we gain from it. to want to, yes, I put it at that, you want to dominate, you want to lord over a human being, go and lord over territories, go and lord over businesses, own businesses and all that. But let human beings be humans. Let them have their basic rights. Let them have access to vaccines. Let them live, because they live, they work for you. If you're running businesses, you need human beings to get the money coming in for you. So why would you want to deny them things that would enable them live their lives as humans? You wouldn't like it if the tables were turned on you. So this is to those who are acting as lords or demigods over their fellow human beings. I don't know if it's just an African problem, but I think we really need to tell ourselves the truth. We really need to come together and just make life. We are rich in Africa. This is our homeland. Let's make it conducive. Let's enjoy it while we are here. What is it at? Are we asking too much to want to have our rails working? Are we asking too much to want to work into a well structured health hospital? Are we asking too much to have a good bed to lie on? Are we asking too much to have power supply? Is it going to take bread from people? You're going to have enough to eat. No matter how many cars you have, you only drive in one per time. No matter how many houses you are, you can't stay in all of the houses at the same time. No matter how much or how wealthy you are, you're taking the money nowhere where you are called from. So, to what end? Let's just enrich Africa. Let's make it conducive for us to stay in. This is our home. But if we don't, we'll have our people leave. And the funniest thing is that when our young people leave and they are doing amazing things outside, that's when our leaders will say, "Oh, okay, we want to have a meeting with you. We are looking forward to welcoming you at the National
Our own,
Assembly,
we
at
are
the
giving
presidency, at the
them,
State
this is
House."
our own.
What's that? So they say this is our own, our daughter, and they get slandered on social media. No, this is not your daughter. You didn't train her. Don't go and claim someone else's sweat. So I don't know if they listen to people. I don't know what it will cost our leaders to just be human beings. We want them to be human. Be human. We know you're human. Be a human being. Don't be a god. Don't be a demigod over us. So it's quite true what he's saying. We really need to come together to be able to make this whole environment more conducive for us to live and thrive.
Okay, thank you. Adadu Israel Osei, thanks for sharing this. A lot of people have been sharing the links across. Adadu Israel, I hope I called the name right, sorry. Got so many others who shared. Bola Joko, Esther, thank you so much for sharing it. Jetta Johnson Ekele has also shared. Kayode Akinola Afolabi, thank you so much for just sharing. Keep sharing them. Samuel Nyam Galadima also has shared. Kayode Iyamolere, thank you so too for sharing. Just keep sharing the videos and drop your comments for our guests. We'll be wrapping up soon in another 10 or 8 minutes time, but keep sharing. And if you have a question for our guest, either you drop it on the comment section there that it will pop up on the screen, or you drop it on the lines showing on the screen, and it's still 080-5438-3460. A lot of people like dropping it as a text message for confidentiality, and some just, okay, use my first name and all that. But the point is, just drop your message. You never can tell the question you'll ask that will also help another person going through maybe similar challenge, and then our guest will trash that issue. But anyway, thank you. I got this one from Kwame, Julie, and it says, Kwame said to ask you, good afternoon to your guest, and quite an educative topic. Every time she comes on this show, I am always blessed. I think this is the third time I am seeing your guest on the show, and every time she comes, she speaks to the mind. Please let me also ask her that what can we do as Africans to support ourselves in times of this COVID-19 pandemic?
Is that
From
Kwame?
Kwame in
Thank you
Ghana.
so much. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Kwame, for your kind words. So, as Africans, we need to first of all, what we can do for ourselves is to first of all accept ourselves as humans. I think that's a fundamental error where we think that we are superior to another person because he's from a particular country or from a particular tribe or race. Let's first of all accept ourselves as humans. And then, secondly, let's look out for the good in one another. Let's look out to do good to one another. I have been to some places where I feel I have not been treated well, not me personally, in that sense, but I've seen where a fellow human being isn't treated well because you just feel that this way, where are you coming from? You're coming to take what is ours. I think that we were not asked to be born on the soil that we were born. I don't think that we should be restricted or marginalized or stereotyped because of where we are from. I think that's a mistake that we're making. So as Africans, let's accept ourselves as human beings. Let's accept ourselves as fellow human beings, like I said, and then not restrict care, support, funding just because of where an individual is from. Let's also look at how we can follow the works other professionals are doing. I think in Africa, not that I think, in Africa, our challenges are similar, whether they have to do with marital, healthcare, educational, cultural. We have similar challenges. I do not see why we cannot come together to see how we can solve this problem as a region. This can happen. So you can look out for people who are doing things in other countries that are in line with what you're doing or trying to achieve in your country and see how you can start either organizing regional programs. If somebody is doing something and you see on social media and the internet has come to break down our geographical walls and boundaries. We only have physical ones. We have the borders, the physical borders, but in the real sense of it, those borders don't really like exist because you can chat with the president of a nation, only that he gets so busy and may not be able to respond. But you can reach out to someone from another nationality. So when you find a program that you know addresses a problem in your country, do well to share. Send a message to this person and say, oh, can you speak to my audience? You can gather a group of people from your own country and then invite a facilitator, a trainer, or a speaker from another country, since the person is addressing issues that applies to you as well. So these are ways that we can support one another. Then make yourself available to facilitate on platforms. People are running so many virtual programs these days. Let's look at what problems that we have that are similar in nature to Africans. Let's see how we can put hands together to solve these problems. I think we have that issue of it has to be my name. You can come together and run under a project. So I think that's like the 17th goal of the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, partnerships and collaboration. So you can have your company, the other person has his, she has hers. So you can come together and coin a name of a project. So this project is being powered by XYZ companies. Because I think what used to happen in the past then is you want to do something and say, okay, whose company are we going to use? And then you want to use this one. Then it used to cause a problem. So have a project name and it is supported or powered by these XYZ organizations or companies or individuals. Then you define what your roles and responsibilities are. Then when it comes to the financial aspect of it, you agree to have like a unique or a project account. I think if you walk to a bank or something, there's a way these things can be done. And I also know, I think you can create a virtual purse as well. You can have a virtual account or something. The techies will have a better idea. But there's nothing that is impossible, especially in these times. So we can accept ourselves, we can accept ourselves as humans. Let's support one another in programs. Let's make ourselves available to facilitate or support other people's programs. Let's collaborate and establish partnerships in solving problems that are unique to Africans.
Okay, as we begin to wrap up, I won't let you go until I also hear your voice or hear your thoughts about this. Women are always at the receiving end of everything, whether it be the pandemic, whether it be gender-based violence, like you rightly pointed out, whether it be in other forms, even economic power, when a man and a woman are working in the same place and she probably will earn lesser than the man, even though they do the same job or have the same qualification. As we also talk about precautionary measures, what message of hope do you begin to give women who suddenly are becoming caregivers? They are saddled with having to take care of the home front in this time, having to become what we call Nurse Eliza in the eastern part of the country, where they suddenly become the
Okay.
medical doctors, in quote, in their homes. They have to make sure their kids are taken care of. Even as singles that they are not married, they have to keep calling their aged parents, Mama, please don't go out to, don't mingle with people. You know you are aged, and it's easier for you to, fall sick for this pandemic and all that. So how do we begin to encourage women? Because it's also burdening for them, the pressure and everything. So they are running around trying to give care, and no one is also taking care of their mental health or asking them how they are going through issues. I'd like you to speak to women right now and give them courage and hope.
Okay, so in speaking to the women, I would drop a word to for the men, because this also concerns them. So where the woman is not empowered, where the woman is limited, it affects the man directly and indirectly. So if the man does not support, it's just a very simple thing. They say teamwork makes it work. So the job that one person will do, the result that one person will achieve from work will be lesser than the results that two people would achieve when they team up. So the energy of two cannot be compared to the energy of one cannot be compared to the energy of two. So when two people do things, they achieve more results. So here is it. For the woman, know that first of all, you are a woman, like I usually say. It's a principle that I abide by. If the woman in me is not wholesome, healthy, strong, capable, the wife in me and the mother in me will suffer. The niece in me, the nurse in me will suffer. So I have to be complete at all times as a woman. The minute I see that it's becoming overwhelming, it's becoming tiring, I cannot handle it, I tell myself the truth. I'm not a superwoman. I'm not going to try to be what I am not. I'm a human being. So, dear woman, be honest with yourself. If it is tough, you tell yourself it's tough. You're not saying it's tough because you don't believe you cannot overcome it. You're saying it's tough because that's the reality that is staring you in the face. But you choose not to be down, not to stay down as a result of that difficult situation. You make up your mind to want to overcome that tough situation that you find yourself in. So be honest with yourself. When you're weak, tell yourself, at this point, I know I'm weak. Tell your spouse, tell your brother, tell your parents, tell whoever has the ears to listen that at this point, I am not it right now. The next thing would be, what would you have to do to come out of that situation? That's why I talk about being part of a group. Many women get married and they're doing, oh, my husband, my husband, my husband, my children, my children. And then when things go sour, they do not have anybody to talk to because they locked out their friends when they got married. This is not supposed to be. That's why I teach family bond systems. So you're first an individual. The minute you get married, you don't stop being an individual. You only bring your individuality into your relationship. The minute you get married, and this goes now to also the man, you don't cease being an individual alone. You have an additional role and responsibility. So you cannot go functioning as a man alone. You're now married. So with that marriage or that relationship, if you're not yet married or you have a child with someone, or you get into an office, you secure a job, or you assume a new position, you now have an additional role that comes with an additional responsibility. So the woman takes up the responsibility of being a spouse. It doesn't stop her from being a daughter to her parents, doesn't stop her from being a sibling, doesn't stop her from being an auntie. So there will still be these demands on the woman, despite the fact that she's married. So you don't expect that your wife will just focus on her children alone. You're asking her to pretend she didn't have a past, and that is not possible. She draws emotional strength from these connections. So that has to be maintained. She has a source from where she draws her strength. Then you will be an additional source. So if you cut that off, you are you are limiting the sources through which you receive strength to be that competent support and helper to you. I'm talking of a setting where people are married. The more you empower your wife, the more able she is to support your business, support your work, and everything. I think men should actually be pushing. I think NOI, like we call her now, Ngozi Okonjo Iweala, has come to Like, let guys know, there's no limit. I was just speaking with a friend yesterday. I said, what is remaining for this woman? She has broken all records. What's the next? What, she's been on World Bank, now is World Trade. What is remaining? But she has told us that this is a possibility. This is a possibility. There was a broadcast that was going around that was trying to still pitch it on the women. That's why this statement you made is true. Women are always at the receiving end. When a man makes progress, they say it's the woman. When the man does not make progress, it's the woman. I said, if a man has done well, celebrate the man that he has done well. If he has done wrong, tell him that he has done wrong. Why would you always bring a woman into the picture? So he said that Ngosi's success is because of the role that she played when there was a problem in her marriage and all of that. I said, no, her husband took responsibility. If that story was true, because I said it, I had to send a broadcast myself. I said, no, I said, I will speak on this one. If whatever it is you're saying goes true, why did I respond to that particular broadcast? I did that because people are going to read it and they will run with it. So I had to send it out so that just peradventure this story is true. I didn't bother to go check if it was true or not. But if somebody is peddling disinformation, there has to be a counter information. That even if something this was true, if it were true in any sense of it, let's celebrate her husband. If anything goes wrong and a wife stands up for her husband, the man plays along, celebrate the man for being responsible, to own up to his error and taking responsibility in righting his wrongs. So let's not just say it was the woman. The man is a human being and has a will of himself. He could either tell his wife, oh no, I'm not going to do this. Yes, I know I did wrong, but I'm the man here. I'm not going to do what you're asking me to do. But for a man to listen to a suggestion of his wife, let's also celebrate the man. You have done well. You are a responsible man for committing an error, owning up to it, taking responsibility to right your wrongs. So for the woman, when you're down, when you're not strong, please say that. Seek help so that you will be stronger to keep playing your different roles. Then for the man, don't limit yourself. If you can afford an average lifestyle with your wife by your side, empowered and competent, you can live above average. Do not subject your family to a life of below average. Even if you have a life above average based on your income alone, the woman, if she doesn't use her brain, she's going to lose it. What you don't use, you lose. So that brain has to be put to use. She needs to have a sense of fulfillment, and that doesn't come with marriage. Marriage is a route to fulfillment for some people. It's a route, not the only route. I have seen women who are very comfortable. They can travel. There's a place I was working before. They can travel the weekend to Dubai, go shopping anywhere. But you find these women not fulfilled. And their husbands will be wondering, what else do you want? You have 3 maids. You can travel anywhere and do any shopping. Isn't that what women want? No, it's beyond that. They need to use their brain. They need to contribute to the society. They need to give to the society. They need to use what they have been given. And if they don't use it, they are still going to be a problem to their husband. So it's a month of the woman. I think this the month of March. Women should be empowered. Yeah. They should be allowed. I know they have that issue of women empowerment and all of that. That if you empower a woman, she's not going to respect her husband anymore. But I think that would be a problem. The problem of the man, because if the woman could initially, before money comes in, the woman could tell the man, "Honey, please give me water to drink." He may not see it as anything. But if the woman now has some money in her account and she says the same thing, "Honey, please give me water to drink," he could misinterpret it. And hey, now you have money, you're asking me to go and bring water for you to drink. I mean, yeah. Your spouse is for crying out loud. So you can actually tell your husband to please give you water to drink. And our brothers, please stop reading meanings into things, especially unwholesome meanings. Stop reading meanings into things that don't exist. So I think the woman being empowered is a plus for the family, for the nation, anytime, any day. And please, dear woman, this is not a competition against the man. This is a competition against you, to be your best self, to be a better version of yourself, to break all your own records. If you're able to run 100, tell yourself, I can do a 200. Don't tell yourself, I can run more than my husband. My husband did 100, I want to do 200. No, you're using him as a yardstick. He's too small. Your neighbor is too small. Your sister is too small. You have your own race you're supposed to run. As a woman, ask your creator, what is my race? and then run it
Mm.
with all vigor. And at the end of the day, you'll be a blessing to those around you. You'll be an addition and a plus to those around you. Remember, brothers and sisters, what you don't use, you lose. So let's put our brains to use.
True. True. Wow. That's beautiful. That's just about the size of what we have. I don't know. Every time we talk with Mrs. Julie, it's the time just flies. I don't know what is happening. We need to keep this time so that it's just when the thing is sinking in. Like one of the viewers who said it's his third time watching her, and it's always been amazing. But like we said last week, the month of March, as we also deal on gender issues, as we celebrate women since it's their month. We'll also be looking at COVID-19 related issues. We'll also be here on Shagalenko monitoring when the vaccines come, the perception of people with the vaccine, and how people take it as well. So we'll be bringing Julia and others all the time to talk about these issues, because we'll keep talking about it until we're very sure the distribution, how people are taking it, the conspiracy theories, and all that. So we'll be bringing her here. How time really flies. It's already 1 hour, and we need to really run now, and so we don't get caught out of the streaming. But thanks so much to our guest, Mrs. Julie. She's the uh, wonderful family bond nurse, and she's been talking with us here on COVID-19 and precautionary measures that we need to take as we leave the new norm. Thank you so much. We'll bring her back again, like I said, in this month of March. We'll be doing a whole lot about COVID-19 related issues, and see how we can tie that to gender, and see how we can also tie that to hand washing and all that. We'll just be celebrating women this month. If we have our way, we'll make sure women just occupy our guest list throughout this month. Just that sometimes we hardly can get them to talk to us. Even when they fix appointments, they just cancel a day or two before, and then we'll start running helter skelter to do all that. But if we have our way on Shagalinku this month of March, we'll make sure that we have women all through our editions, Tuesdays, Saturdays, throughout this month, because we'll be looking at gender, hand washing, and COVID-19. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Kabari. Once again, thank you, Mrs. Julie, for being there for us. So till I see you on Saturday, we'll be looking at the Nollywood industry and how they are also using their voice, lending their voice to talk about COVID-19. I'm happy Mrs. Julie also talked about how she watches video to make sure, watch comedy and all that, to make sure she gets her mind down and frees her mind and all that. And that's one thing that kept everyone going last year when the pandemic was there, and then the lockdown. We were all locked down at home. We couldn't do much. So everyone was either watching videos, making skits, making TikTok, finding ways to make everyone laugh and all that. And it really helped everyone. Anyway, so we'll be bringing our guest, an actor, a musician, and a dancer to talk with us here, Mr. Chris Okagwe. He'll be here on Saturday, God willing, to talk about that. And next week, we'll be bringing a survivor of COVID-19 to tell us more about her story, all the way from the Gambia. Yeah, all the way from Gambia. She'll be here as our guest, tell us her story, how she survived COVID-19. So you wouldn't want to miss the editions coming up. March is really a bumper package for Shagalinko TV, and we're enjoying everyone. Also, thanks to Search for Common Grants for some of the support, trying to give us materials and some of the things we do here. We also thank PAGJA and CS DevNet for also supporting us once in a while with our programs here and all that. And yes, you can also support us, data, helping us to also get resource persons, helping us to also be online. It's a hectic work, but we keep moving, we move. Okay, till I see you all on Saturday. God bless you all and have a beautiful Tuesday. And remember to touch a life and stay safe. Bye-bye.